Good morning, Miss Nelia. I'm Shane Devara, and I am part of the group who will report the country Brunei. So, without further ado, let's start. Brunei is a tiny nation on the island of Borneo in two distinct sections, surrounded by Malaysia and the South China Sea. It is known for its beach and biodiverse rainforest. Much of it is protected with reserves. It is the third largest island in the world. It is a tropical country that has many animals and most of it is endangered. So, particularly the proboscis monkey that can only be found in the lowland mangroves and swamp forests. They do not just have forests but also marine diversity. It is what natural resources makes this country rich and acquire what they have right now, including language. These resources are oil and gas because this is what Brunei is known for. With all the different phases they have encountered, from the Civil War, asked the British for protection, and Japanese invasion, Brunei has come up with various languages because of influence. For instance, the oil production. There are many foreigners who visit Brunei, and many Bruneians cannot speak English. That's why they have come up to create a school good for English language education. Moreover, there are three that Brunei uses, which is the standard, the Brunei, Malay, and English. Apparently, these are just the common languages, but there are many languages they use, but not frequently, and depends on the location. That would be all to the with the history of Brunei. Thank you.
Moving forward, let's now have the languages of Brunei. So the official language of the state of Brunei is Standard Malay, the same Malaccan dialect that is the basis for the standards in Malaysia and Indonesia. So accordingly, the official language in Brunei is called Bahasa Melayu, other term for Standard Malay. However, the current form of Standard Malay language to be heard from citizens of Brunei may stray a bit from their Malaysian and Indonesian counterparts, so they use Standard Malay for communication or interaction. Basically, Bruneian use Standard Malay in day-to-day basis or conversation. Then there is also another language that may easily noticed in Brunei is Arabic. So Arabic is the language of the Muslims' holy book, which is the Quran. So being the state's official religion, all the followers of the Islamic faith have to learn some degree of Arabic to be able to understand the messages contained in the Quran. So the Arabic language is currently being taught in religious schools and as well as in schools of higher learning, and so a great number of Brunei nationals will be proficient in Arabic. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. So Brunei's official language is Malay, but English is also widely used, and um, it is the language of instruction in most subjects in schools. So Bruneians have also a high proficiency for English language, as they have appointed three British nationals who sit in Brunei's appellate court. So aside from that, the expatriate community of Brunei is a bit large, and so English would really be a common denominator.
So, just like Philippines and any other countries, Brunei is also one of those countries that are part of a multilingual society. And because of that, there are at least quarter of the population of the state is composed of races whose mother tongue is not Malay. So the provision of education in several languages is obviously impracticable and inevitable that linguistically at any rate the other races must be assimilated to Malay, and so during the 1951 the Brunei government opened an English school in order for the students to have a unified language. But this school is only available to the selected students, those students who are identified in a four primary, those students who are able and identified in a four primary schools, which are transferred to the English school when they were in 8 years old. However, there are other matters which must be considered with this type of school. One of the very important consideration is that majority of the parents are in favor of their children to acquire their first and early education throughout the medium of the child's mother tongue in vernacular schools, with the study of English as a second language. And because of this issue, during the year 1954 to 1959, the government of Brunei then embarked on a 5 years development plan for education. By its completion in 1959, so the following had been achieved. 1. 15,006 pupils were enrolled in schools, 70% male and 30% females. Second, 52 Malay primary schools were established. Third, three English schools, including one of the girls, completed during the year 1958. Seven schools, seven mission schools, eight Chinese primary schools, three Chinese secondary schools, 133 Bruneians at Training College. Brunei's own college was started during 1956.
The country's official language and its the variety taught at school and is used in the mass media. Brunei Malay is the language of everyday communication for most Bruneians and acts as a sign of speakers wish to identify himself or herself as a Bruneian. The ultimate objective of the educational policy of this country must be to bring together the children of all races under the national educational system in which the national language is the main medium of instruction. Through we recognize the progress towards the goal cannot be rushed and must be gradual. In the 21st century, as of now, we are already had an inclusive classroom setting that all students must be play their individual role by means inclusive classroom refers to an environment where all students feel supported intellectually and academically and are extended a sense of belongingness in the classroom regardless of their identity, learning preferences, or education. Malay is the official language of Brunei. English is the main medium of instruction in most primary and secondary schools as well as colleges and universities. Nevertheless, Malay is the medium of instruction for Malay and Brunei related subjects as well as in religious primary schools with requirements of Constitution Educational Report on 1972. Over the last century, the small Malay Islamic Sultanate of Brunei, Darussalam, and the northern coast of Borneo has moved away from an oral tradition to a print culture and towards mass literacy. Discovery of oil in the early part of 20th century transformed the economic situation in the country and led to major changes and developments in the country. So this explores one of the major transformations in Brunei, the development of education and the rise of literacy. The concept of bilingual system is a means of ensuring the sovereignty of the Malay language while at the same time recognizing the importance of English language by means educational system of the Negara Brunei Darussalam high degree proficiency in both language should be achieved Brunei government publication on 1984. Bilingualism is defined as the speaker's ability to use two languages for communication due to the complexity of its nature, the study of bilingualism that rules on. The recognition of language is partly based on an assumption of its importance for academic study, thus its ability to facilitate the entry from Brunei Darussalam to institutions of higher education where the medium of instruction is English. In the school today, the area of spread of language are limited and does not transcend the speakers geographically. There are languages that are spoken in informal situation. Malay is used as the main regional language, while English is an international language. The rule of English in Brunei, thus the three languages spoken by most Bruneians, Brunei, Malay, English, and Arabic. Brunei is Malay used for social interaction. English is for business, law, and recreational purposes. And using English language is also taught in school. And Arabic is for religious concerns. Birdsmore on 1999. The number of speakers of those languages are limited, each ethnic groups in the Asian region. Malay is spoken by roughly 250 million people, while English is used by Pobal population.
So, Brunei and Malay English Dictionary. So, here are some words that are translated into English. So, first example is saya, which means I in English, and aku means me. Another is awak or kau, or in English is you. Kami, we or us. Biskita, you, is usually to address older people. Then atu means that, ani, this, sinta in English is love. Suka means like. Mana means wear. Kimana or dimana means to wear. Next is karang, which means later. Then sudaku mankan is have you eaten?
So, in conclusion, Brunei is strongly influenced by Malay culture and Islam. So, the culture is also influenced by demographic makeup of the country. So, more than 3/3 of population are Malay, and the remainder consist of Chinese, Indians, and indigenous groups such as Morots, Dawsons, and Kidayans. So, Brunei's language history reflects a combination of indigenous Australian languages. So, the influence of Islam and Arabic, the impact of British colonization, introducing English, and the official adaptation of Malay as the national language. So, this linguistic diversity contributes to the rich cultural tapestry of Brunei. So, that's all for this topic. That's all for Brunei. And terima kasih kirana mendengar. In Malay means thank you for listening.